So, are the Georgia Bulldogs going to explode on Missouri this weekend in Columbia? I've got some thoughts on that coming up here. Dean Legge from Dog Post, making you a smarter Georgia fan. And there's a couple things going on at once here. A couple things going on at the same time, as they say. You've got a Georgia offense now that scored in back-to-back games 30 points or more. And you've got a Missouri team that has really struggled against decent competition, stopping them on defense. And what do I mean by that? Well, if you take a look at Missouri this season, now they have a couple of results that were not ideal. The one that sticks out the most is the Tennessee game. But against all the teams that they played on their schedule, except South Carolina, Vanderbilt, and Kentucky, they allowed 30 points or more in all of those games, actually 35. So they allowed 38 to Bama, 35 to Tennessee, 41 to LSU in a game that they won, 41 to the Gators, and then 48 to Arkansas. So problematic for sure. So what are we looking at for Georgia coming into this game? So the other thing for Arkansas is they've had a real problem stopping the pass at times and then stopping the run at times. Last week they almost allowed 300 yards rushing by Arkansas. I mean, it's crazy that you would almost allow 300, and it's crazy that you'd win a game like that. I mean, Arkansas has won 2 games now where they have allowed the other team to score 40 points or more. That's not common, and that doesn't continue very often. And I would venture to say that they've got to be the only team in America that has 2 wins while allowing 40 points or more. Now, if you're Georgia and you look at this and you say, well, these guys didn't stop the run last week at all. They've allowed they've allowed 35 or more 6 times this season, I think, by my math, or 5 in 8 games. That's a real opportunity for Georgia. That's a real opportunity for this run game. That's a real opportunity for JT Daniels. It's a real opportunity for Todd Monken. This is still the same Missouri team that beat South Carolina a couple of weeks ago 17-10 in Columbia. Georgia just absolutely destroyed South Carolina not that long ago. So there's some real flashing red lights here for Mizzou coming into this game. And, if you're Georgia and you're moving forward this season with the notion that you are calibrating yourself for 2021, you really should not take a step backwards. Again, this is a Missouri defense that has allowed 38, 35, 41, then 10 to Kentucky, 41 to the Gators, 10 to Carolina, nothing to Vanderbilt, and 48 to Arkansas. The 3 teams they've really struggled with, South Carolina, Vanderbilt, and Vandy, they have really struggled to score this season, particularly lately with South Carolina. Georgia allowed 3 to Kentucky. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I'm going to have to click here to see how many they allowed against South Carolina, but it wasn't 20. It was 16. One of those was junk in the second half. So this is an extremely positive development these last 2 weeks for a Georgia offense that's trying to get right moving forward. So much of the criticism of Georgia this season has been based on that they lost the 2 games to Alabama and Florida and that they didn't play well against Mississippi State. Well, the problem with that is that Georgia won the state game by 7, and you get credit for winning games, but it seems like in the case of Georgia with the national media, they're not going to give Georgia any credit for winning that game. Auburn still has to deal with Mississippi State. They're going to deal with them this weekend, and State has not been a good team. They're 2-6. They're not a good team. I mean, they've beaten Vanderbilt and LSU, 2 of the worst teams in the league. But, I don't know. I mean, Texas A&M only beat them by 14, Mississippi by 7. Alabama destroyed them for sure. Kentucky with a lopsided victory. It's one result. You can't get too tied up in it. But from the time that JT Daniels has started at Georgia on, they've been explosive with the passing game in one game. They were explosive with the run game. The explosive plays have really picked up. This is a team that for the first 6 games of their season, they only had 9 throwing touchdowns. In the last 2, they've had 6 passing touchdowns. So here again, you've got a Missouri team that is permitting far too many points in games not against Vanderbilt and South Carolina. Georgia should be able to score 30 points no problem, you would think. And Mizzou is allowing almost 30 a game on average. But you would think with a team like Georgia, with an offense that's got it going the way that Georgia seems to, they should be able to get it going against this Missouri team that has really struggled defensively the whole year. They're a strange defense, but this is because of the way they play and their fronts and so forth. But this is a huge opportunity for Daniels, Zamir, Kenny McIntosh, James Cook. But really the passing game for Georgia, it should be there for sure. LSU threw for more than 400 yards on Missouri. Every one of Missouri's, quote, big games against, quality teams, have come with lopsided run or passing game numbers. So that's what we're going to look for, is which side of the ball is likely to really explode against Missouri. My suspicion, the run game, because when you can go for 300, Tennessee almost went for 300 on them. Arkansas went for almost 300. It's not good. It's not what you want, but it gives Georgia a real opportunity. Dean Legge from Dog Post, making you a smarter Georgia fan. Make sure that you click right here. Watch a quarterback that's going to be coming to Georgia in the future, Brock Vandagriff, 5-star quarterback. We've got some great highlights in that playlist. Check it out. We'll see you on the other side.